Siri, home screen. What's up? What's up, everybody? This your man Luke 1817. Back again at WPMM Radio, man. You already know. Home is home. Home is where the heart is. And I follow my heart. So give us just a couple of seconds, a couple of minutes here. You know how we do. We're gonna let a couple people come in, and then we're gonna take off and start our journey. It's gonna be interesting today. You know what I'm saying? I plan to take us a little bit into the netherworld. I plan to take us a little bit into the netherworld. We're gonna talk a little bit of negativity tonight, just to kind of get a gauge. The last conversation we had was what is God? So it's only fitting that we bring into a little bit of understanding. I mean, an hour ain't much, but we bring into a little bit of our understanding on exactly what the negative energies are that surround us, and how do we look at those negative energies, and what they mean for us. You know what I'm saying? Are they bad? Are they meant to be lived without? So y'all stay tuned. We're gonna go ahead and get into that conversation. We're just gonna give it a couple minutes to let a few more people join in. Hold on, let me pull this up. If you're on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, do all that. You know what I'm saying? Get that algorithm kicking up. You know what I'm saying? Share these videos with your people because they're important. I'm here to talk to my folks. So y'all already know how I do. Y'all already know how I get down. I'm here to talk to my people, and that's really what it's all about for me. You know what I mean? I'm here to talk to my people, and then from there we speak to other folks. Like, that's the way it go. Because that's the way we're done. So we're gonna keep it 100% with ourselves, and we're gonna get ready to take off into this thing. Okay? A few more seconds. I want some more people to join in on this thing. Like, share, subscribe. WPMM Radio. I'm gonna be putting my YouTube up here too, so I can start uploading these videos to my own YouTube, so y'all be able to follow me there directly. On Instagram, I'm Luke1817. Facebook, Lucky Southwest Starward. Y'all look me up. Luke1817 on Facebook also as well. Just look me up. I'm all over the place, and follow me. Now, hold on. So it is Monday. What's the date? Today is Monday, April the 3rd. 2 days ago we had April Fools, but this ain't no fool type time. We are really sitting on a precipice. You know what I'm saying? And I know I talk about this a lot, and I know some of my things may sound repetitive to some. But everything we speak about is absolutely necessary. We are needed to elevate ourselves in this time, or as close to elevation as we can, whatever that means, right? So today we're speaking about negativity, and I want that to be understood as to why we're speaking about this thing, because our position, if that's the right word, our position when it comes to negative aspects and negativity has been skewered. Okay. And we're going to go into this tonight because it is absolutely imperative that we understand how we are misusing negativity. Okay. So give me just a second. I know I have. And see, next time when I'm still trying to get ready, I won't go live. I just wait. You know what I mean? Let me zoom this in on myself too. Got me a pen. Let me see, says the blind man. Let me see, says the blind man. All right. Now, all right, y'all should be able to see me good now. So we can go ahead and get into this thing. So negativity. Okay. Now, if you know me and you've been following me already, then you already know that when we talk about things and discuss things, that I like to give definition to things so we can bring the right context. You know what I'm saying? So we can be thorough in our examination. You know what I'm saying, of what we go into. So we want to be thorough in our examination, as thorough as we can be. So we're going to pull up the definition of the word negative, okay? Just so that we can begin to create context around that word, and then we can begin to break down how that word is being used, okay? Remember now, a few Monday meetups ago, we talked about agendas, okay? Now we're going to put that on the back burner for now. So we're going into the definition of the word negative. All right, give me one moment here. Okay, let's see, Duff. Okay, so negative, okay? It is an adjective. Okay, so y'all, all you English majors out there, y'all already know what I'm talking about. This is an adjective consisting in or characterized by the absence rather than the presence of distinguishing features. Negative. That applies to, or that applies to photography. Okay, so you say you have a negative picture. This is a consisting in or characterized by the absence rather than the presence of distinguishing features of a statement or decision, expressing or implying denial, disagreement, or refusal. You can call that negative. Of the results of a test or experiment indicating that a certain substance or condition is not present or does not exist, meaning like a negative pregnancy test. Okay, so you'll say that the pregnancy is negative because it does not exist. Okay, so pretty much what that's saying in the world of binary, zeros and ones, is that you can take away or subtract from using the word negative, or add to using the word positive. Okay, so that's a that shows different meanings for the same word. Okay, now we're going somewhere with this, so we got to pay attention, because language is very important in the way that we see our world today. And as much as we just use language without really thinking about context or how we're saying what we're saying or what is composed of, the energies that are composed of the speech that we're using, okay, we don't understand those concepts. We don't understand those ideologies, so we just use language. But as you can see here, language is a multifaceted tool. One word can have multiple different meanings. Okay, now mind you, now we're reading about the word negative. Now they've already given us the definition of a picture coming back in a separate contrast from what we're used to seeing. That's called a negative. Then, in addition and subtraction, you have a negative and a positive, right? Let's continue. So they said a person not having a specified condition or showing traces of specified substance in their body. Their body is negative of influenza. You understand? So saying that the body is negative of AIDS or HIV is actually a positive statement. You understand? So we have to be very careful with language, because in language, there's a lot of misconstruction that can happen just from taking on the word in the inappropriate context. Okay? So, in grammar or logic, it's expressing denial, negation, or refutation, stating or asserting that something is not the case, contrasted with affirmative and interrogative. Okay, so that is the contrast to affirmative and interrogative is negative, saying that something does not exist. Okay, here's another definition of a quantity less than zero, to be subtracted from others or to be subtracted from zero. In mathematics, once you go under zero or beyond zero to the left, you're integrating yourself into a negative reality when it comes to numbers. Okay? Not that the numbers are bad, but what that means is after or under zero, you have -1, -2, where on the opposing side of zero, you have +1, +2. Okay, we're still talking about negativity. Okay, So negative has become a rule of measurement. Negative has become a vessel having something or not having something. The measurement of those two qualities is called positive or negative. Okay? HIV positive, HIV negative. You understand? That has nothing to do with numbers. So that's two totally separate meanings. Also, in photography, you see, you can have a candid shot and then you can have a negative of the candid shot. Still has nothing to do with numbers, and it also has nothing to do with the conditions of the body. These are three separate definitions of that word negative. However, when we go out here into our everyday reality, we hear people saying positive vibes only, okay? Positive vibes only, as if negative vibes means their absolute destruction. We're going to get into this because our vessel as a melanated being here is designed to warehouse both negative and positive energies. Without the negative reality, the lower regions of the chakra chain would not exist. I don't want to get too deep because we're going to have to go ahead and break this down systematically. Now let's keep going with our definitions and then we're going to get off into it. So, of, containing, producing, or denoting the kind of electric charge carried by electrons. The electric charge that's carried by electrons is negative. Okay? In astrology, relating to or denoting any of the earth or water signs considered passive in nature. Okay? So, any of the earth or water signs that are considered passive in nature are called negative. However, the sun signs in astrology are called positive signs. You understand? So now are we looking at Are we looking at a contrasting negative and positive reality, or are we only using descriptive words on things that just are? Okay. Are we only connecting dots by using language on things that have a purpose and a place in our reality? Very, very true. Hold on one second. We have some technical difficulties up in here. All right, we back, man. Had a little slight technical difficulty. So, what I was speaking on is that we have been using terms to describe things that just are in our reality. And as a result, we have classified these things mentally as bad or good, even though underneath the word negative, there are many positive definitions. Okay? So, what am I trying to get at here? What I'm saying is that the melanated being, because we have to speak on who I am first, because this is why I'm here. The melanated being is comprised of both negative and positive prima materia. And for us to deny any aspect of ourself is to fracture the entirety of the being. What do I mean by that? Okay. So let's take a look at things that we consider to be negative, such as anger. One moment here, pulling these things up. Okay, so the definition of anger says this: a strong feeling of annoyance, displeasure, or hostility. Okay? Anger. We normally classify anger as something that is negative. But anger says that it is a noun that represents a strong feeling of being annoyed, displeasure, or hostility. Okay? So if I come into your home or your domain and I kick your door open and I tie up your entire family, okay, and put you guys through such a traumatic situation, are you going to feel peace towards me? Okay? No. You're going to feel anger. And what is that anger going to do? If not fear, you're going to feel anger, angry at me. So what is that anger going to do? Anger fuels the negative reaction inside of the person, or the thing that we would deem as being a negative reaction inside of the individual. Anger is the fuel. Okay? So because anger is the fuel for the negative reaction that we classify as negative in the person, because all of this is simply based on behavior, that person thus will take a certain action towards the thing that is causing annoyance, displeasure, or hostility. If I bring hostility to your door, it is your God-given right to use anger to protect yourself. It is your God-given right to be angry at me, right? But how many times have we gone out in public and we meet these type of situations, because we got to break this down. Annoyed, going out in public, now you're feeling annoyed by the situation. Displeasure, when you go out to eat and the server don't want to serve you because of what you look like. When you go into the bank and all of a sudden you can't get the loan because of who you are. You know what I mean? It ain't have nothing to do with no credentials. It's just you. That's displeasure. What about the hostility of going up to a water fountain that's labeled for certain people and not for you? And the hostility that come back from you just taking a sip of water because you're thirsty. Should not these things supply a certain group of people with anger? Shouldn't they be angry? But then if they get angry, guess what? Now they're negative, right? But you just saw in the definition of negativity that some forms of negativity are actually positive. Okay? So now let's talk about a thing, because we have to break this down. We don't just come from the definition space, but we go through different avenues that a lot of us know so that we can make this reality. We can make it real. Okay? So I like to reference the Bible a lot. And it's important to understand why I reference the Bible. I live in the Bible Belt. Okay, this is a place where going to church is the main, and having that type of structure for your life and that mindset for your life is supposed to be one of the main staples of a person living through this region. Okay, so of course I'm going to utilize the information that's in that text that most of us have studied and already know. Okay, so let's see here. Now, so what I want to talk about is the anger or the wrath of God, okay? Because we just said there that anger is supposed to be or classified as negative according to our worldscape or our world vision. For somebody to come out and be angry, that is negative or bad, okay? So we're going to say God's anger in the Bible. So let's see here. Where was God angry in the Bible? So the Bible speaks about God's wrath. This is just one example, being poured out at the cross. This is with Christ on the cross. I will soon pour out my wrath upon you. This is the Most High speaking to a specific group of people. And spend my anger against you. Ezekiel 7 and 8. So the divine wrath towards sin was poured out over Jesus. Okay? In order to rid sin, because God hates, which is our next word, God hates the sin of man. God hates the destruction that we bring into the land. God hates a specific group of people, whereas God loves another group of people. This is what it's saying in the Bible. So we call these things that we emulate, these same emotions, these same feelings, when we go out into the world space. For us to provide anger is negative. For us to be people that show hatred towards other groups of people, it's negative. We're bad. You understand? But I'm looking here in this Bible, and I see multiple instances where God's wrath, anger, and hatred have been defined. So now, is God the same negative as I? If I'm made in that same likeness? Who am I? If I carry those same instances as the God they speak of in the Bible, I carry the same abilities and aspects as the God they say in the Bible. So who am I then? These questions are important to have because we have to understand how this world is designed towards turning off certain frequencies inside of you and me. It's designed towards it. The world cannot handle the wrath and the anger of 30 million Black Americans. The world can't handle that. You understand? So these things are deemed as negative or bad. Whereas the people that came and conquered our landmass, did they not show anger? Did they not show hatred and hostility, right? Right. But these people are being broadcast all over the world as the creme de la creme of all things. You understand? After multiple genocides on different people. So where does the classification come to say that these people are bad? As much as it is commonplace for my people to be classified as bad, taking the same exact action. It's not judgment. It's just so that we can begin to understand what is going on around us. Okay? So the very next word that we're going to go into is wrath. And then after wrath, we're going to go into hatred. Okay? Because hatred is also looked at as bad, even though hatred is used every day in our world. And we have to understand what's going on around us so that we can recondition ourselves into the likeness that we're supposed to have. You see, we are supposed to be a people of hatred of evil, hatred of wrongdoing, hatred of murder and genocide. We are supposed to be that people. We are supposed to be a people of wrath. That if any man stand up against the Most High in our presence, then they're going to meet the wrath of God through our hands. We're supposed to be that people. Everything that has been classified as negative are aspects that are true and decisive to our melanistic code. Everything. Our ancestors scalped the invaders. They took their heads off and put them on a stake. These things will be classified as negative in today's society. But this is how our ancestors moved and interacted throughout the world that they lived in. If you encroached on their land or their property or things that they loved and held dear, you were going to pay the ultimate price. They held every negative aspect and they utilized the negative aspect. They didn't run away from it. They didn't try to smother it out of their life to make other people think that they're absolutely positive and that's all that they are. You understand? They weren't trying so hard to fit in with people who are only there to bring down the frequency. They weren't trying so hard to fit in. They were who they are. How many of us Black people experience all the negativity in the world inside the house? But the minute we go outside the house, now our parents and everybody change to fit the status quo of the populace. Now they no longer negative no more. But when you mess up in the public, the minute you walk in that house, you're getting cussed out, right? Is that bad? Is it negative? How are we supposed to look at this thing called life? Now let's keep going. So here are some things that you know that we need to know about God's wrath. So we're speaking about the wrath of God. And wrath is always the after effect or the punishment to a certain action, okay? But wrath, to have wrath on somebody, if I approach a man with wrath in my heart, now I intend to do that man a disservice, right? But wrath is stemmed after an action. So the real question should be, what did that man do to bring those lower frequencies to the surface of my being? You understand? To bring those lower frequencies to the surface of my being. Why am I saying the lower frequencies? Because when you start to vibrate slower and deeper, you understand that the things we call negativity exist in the lower or the nether regions. This is where we coming from. The base frequency, the need to fight or flight. What is that? Fight or flight. That is a base chakra type of response to your environment. That's animalistic. It's the basis. So all these things we call negative, the things that we're doing to each other, the frequencies we're pulling out of ourselves and giving to each other on a daily basis, all of these things are predicated of the lower or the nether regions of each person, man, woman, and child. This is the negative aspect that we've been confined to. Okay? Scientifically confined to. However, by being confined to the nether regions, it has built the pressure to apply ourselves into balance. And what do I mean by that? Because when you suppress something for so long, let's just like, for instance, let me take a spring. If I were to take a spring and push it all the way to the ground and just sit there and hold it there and hold it there, that pressure is building up underneath my hand. So when I let go, the pressure is going to go straight up. Same thing for water pressure, whatever you want to put pressure on. When you let that pressure go, it's going to shoot off like a rocket, right? Because the spirit makes no mistakes. So what you have to understand is our people have been predicated into a negative environment by those that are enemies against who we are naturally, hoping to destroy us. But like we just read the definition of, even in negativity, there's always positivity. What are we looking at here? What I'm talking about is a yin-yang principle. We exist in a negative reality right now. Our people are showcasing to the world the negative aspects of who we are. We kill each other. We don't respect our women. We're doing all these things to our youth. We're doing all these things to ourselves. We don't eat right. We sleeping with our enemy. We're doing everything that's classified as negative, right? Because it's the yin-yang cycle. But in the midst of that negativity, there's always a seed of hope. And that hope seed has to gather pressure. Now, where am I going with this? Because we need to understand not only where we are, but where we're going to end up, okay? Pushing a negative agenda, as we've been doing, is only building pressure for our release into the positive reality that everybody think they're calling for. Positive vibes only. Right? This is how we talk. Positive vibes only. Don't be around me with no negativity. Why is that? Why is that? Why are you telling people not to come around you with negativity? Because that's already where you exist. The pressure has built for you to go to a new world. And in order for you to get there, you think you need to denounce the environment that you're living in. Okay? But nothing could be further from the truth. The positivity exists in the negative cycles that you're going through. Only if you can see the reality. This is what we talked about last time. Only the people that are able to understand what the God consciousness is are going to be able to see how to maneuver their way out of what appears to be a negative environment. It appears to be a negative environment, or let's use a better word because we know negative can also mean positive. So a bad environment, you understand, can be seen around the people. But if the people are able to understand what's going on in the environment, they can find the positivity in the negative. You understand? Because the negative does not just hold bad energy. You have to understand this. Just like the positive or things that appear to you as squeaky clean. How many preachers we done seen come up on a world forum and they got on the best suit, they got the edge up, razor sharp, skin clean, pure, and they the most corrupt, most devilish. All of these things you can think of is exactly who they are. And then when those things come to the surface, guess what everybody do? Because we've invested so much into them in a positive manner that we try to sweep that under the rug to keep our image of this individual on high. You understand? So we don't even look at them as bad because we don't want to see that reality for that, because it puts them on the same level as you and me. We living lies out here. We're being fooled by what people think positivity is versus what people think negativity is. We're being fooled as usual. We're being fooled again. We're supposed to be walking towards the darkness. What is melanin? What is the melanin? Have you ever asked that question? What is the melanin? How come when I go too deep into the ground and start pumping black stuff? What is that? Look like melanin to me. They call it oil. They give it a classification and call it oil, but it looks like the melanin from the earth to me. You see? Why is melanin the number one resource on the planet? Why is that? The black stuff. So then if everything here in this planet is consuming melanin and hunting melanin, mining it, why are we walking towards what is white? Why are we walking towards what they call the light? Why is that the direction you want to go in? Why? Because it's positive? Because it seems positive? Is that why? Positive. What if I'm HIV positive? Is that good? What if I'm positive for COVID? Is that good? Is that a good thing for me to be positive in that way? You understand? You got to understand what I'm talking about here. We're using words to try to categorize frequencies. And because we're doing that, our mindset towards how we view our environment has been skewered. We don't even know what is good from bad. We don't know which way is down versus up. We think we picking something that's good for us, and then it end up being destructive. Then we pick something that we say that's bad, and then come a few years later, you realize, dang, man, I should have left that where it was because it was actually doing me some good. We're confused. We're in a state of confusion. And we don't understand the world around us because we don't understand ourselves. We don't understand ourselves. You see? So it is important to embrace things that people call, hey man, that's negative, bro. Hey man, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do this and don't do that. We're always the ones facing the brunt of this type of thing. Don't do that. Don't behave this way. Behave that way. And if you behave that way, then the world will accept you. But if you behave that way, you're an angry black man. Angry black woman. Right? Where's that description for any other nation? You see what I'm saying? Because anger was called bad. A natural human reaction to stimuli is called bad, especially when we flex it. Why? Because our negative energy is the chaos of the universe. And it's just one. So imagine if that person goes into channeling the multiverse. Our negative energy is the pure chaos of the universal plane. This is what they don't want you to know. Our negative energy is the chaos of the universal plane. You see? This is what they don't want you to know. So what do in regards to, they send us to school, they educate us away from the negativity, right? They educate you away from what is called negative aspect or negative chakra balance. They get you away from that because they flood you with what is called positivity. But the positivity in itself is negative because it's only grooming you to live inside of an environment that is not created for you in the first place. So it is not positive, it's negative. It is not working on your behalf. It is not building you up to become leadership over the world that you once had. It is not doing that. It is destroying you, even if you don't know how it's destroying you or the destruction is happening on subtle levels. It's not positive. Taxation without representation. You ever heard of that? You go listen to other people that tell you that paying your taxes is good. You're supposed to pay your taxes, right? But they don't tell you that paying your taxes is an equivalency of rulership of a crown. They're not telling you that. And they also don't tell you that paying taxes is voluntary action. So you really don't even have to do that. So is paying your taxes a positive thing or is it negative? It depends on the perspective. Okay. Now, based on perspective, be it negative or positive, from the perspective of how the people are looking at the world, this is why we have think tanks called school. You can then formulate an agenda to control the perspective. Now, if I put an agenda out here into the world to say, positive vibes only, we accept everything now. So everything is cool, everything is acceptable. Don't talk about nobody, don't judge nobody, don't bring people into the reality of where they messing up. You see what I'm saying? We only want positive vibes only, right? Okay. Now, mind you, now this positive vibes only mess has only been going on for the last few years. It ain't really been that long. So what are we dealing with now? Now that we have positive vibes only. Now you have men dressed up as women teaching third and fourth graders that they can have a mind of their own and go chop up their body if they feel appropriated to. Is that positive or is that negative? I don't understand. That's a positive move. Now you have celebrities taking their children and turning them into the opposite sex in front of your children. This is what we got. This is the results of positive vibes only, not judging nobody. You see? Now we have this whole wave of toxic femininity. Let's go ahead and put it out there like what it is, where the men are emasculated. You take that away from the man. Now you're not a man no more because I got the money, so I wear the pants. Is that positive or is that negative? See how that's a matter of perspective? And then you see how perspective can be twisted into certain agendas? You see? So all of these instances that I just gave you are marking the destruction of a specific group of people. There's no need for me to go talking about marrying a 11-year-old. What need do I have of that? That's not positive. You see what I'm saying? That's negative. But if you look at the perspective of the mainstream world now, that's a positive action. Now, if two men want to go up to the block and go get married to each other, that's positive, right? That's positive, right? That's a good thing. If two women want to go get married to each other, that's now a positive action, right? But didn't the Bible say that it is an abomination for a man or a woman to sleep unto the same sex? That's an abomination. So now what you're telling me is the laws of the land supersede the spiritual laws, even though we still all are filing into a church building every Sunday. Is that positive or is it negative? Because I'm confused. We've been torn apart at the seams by misappropriation, misclassification, misunderstanding, and confusion. We don't know which way is up from down. You see? Somebody could have told us at one point our women being independent was a good thing. That's a good thing, for her to be Miss Independent, right? But look at all the women. I just want to make an example because you got to understand what's going on. Look at how many women Kevin Samuels touched. Look at how many different videos you can go pull up on this man thing and see all these women pretty much having the same exact issues over and over and over and over. They're delusional. They could not see themselves on the basis of reality. They thought everything that they had acquired in their life was the absolute most positive thing that they can do for themselves. I got a degree. I got a business. I got this much money in the bank. I'm this, that, and the third. But notice how everything that they're talking about is from a masculine principle. I got a degree. I'm further ahead in society. I got a business. I'm better than you. Or I can make more money than you can. I can equal your money making. You know what I'm saying? That's an accomplishment. That's positive. If it's so positive, then why don't nobody want you? And if that's the totality of it all, then how come it's so many men so many women that can't find a mate? You see? Because what has become positive for our womanhood and our agendas given to the women has to create a negativity somewhere. There's an equal and opposite exchange. So what you're looking for as positive and saying that it is a positive action because more women are graduating from the colleges now, more women are owning businesses, more women are getting involved in politics. But what is happening to your men and children? We talked about this in earlier shows about the test with the rats. It tells you what happens. The women are less at home. The women are less raising the children. The women are more occupied with making money and meeting quotas and having businesses and making the movements in a masculine direction. You see? So the dynamic of what creates the community suffers. Now, how is the independent woman positive versus what's happening to her community? See, this is all agenda. You got to understand where we are. The things that are supplied to our community, especially from the mainstream reality, hardly ever have our upliftment in mind because it's not coming from our nation. You understand? I saw a podcast with Waka Flocka on there. He was on that podcast, like they have the podcast with all the women, and it'll be like 2 or 3 men or whatever. And they sit there and talk about like they talk about the discussion between men and women, right? So Waka Flocka was like, he said, I get what you're saying, because the dude was saying, he was going in on the women or whatever and about how they don't take accountability and this, that, and the third. And Flocka was like, I agree with what you're saying, but at the same time, you should be encouraging these women to be different. But then, my man's got up and walked out. You know what I'm saying? And if you listen to the podcast itself, there wasn't really a reason to walk out, right? But then as I studied it deeper, I saw what I assumed to be the reason that I would walk out. So what I'm sitting here looking at is this. It's a room full of women, all different nationalities of women, right? And they're here talking about womanhood as if it's a generalization, one and the same for all across the board. And that is absolutely not true. I can't go talking to a white woman about the negative and positives of relationships and this, that, and the third, because I'm not a part of that community. You understand? So that's not my place. If whatever I'm going to speak out of my heart, mind, and soul is going to be to the women that are like me. You understand? Because I know nothing of the life or the livelihood of any other nation. So when you bring to me the issues that we have in our community and want to deem our women as negative or as positive or whatever you want to deem them as, but including them mixed in with the other nations, then the conversation is over because I have nothing to say to them. The way that they move is the way they gonna move regardless. And if our women were wise, then they would be able to see that who they were is now being encompassed by the other nations that surround them talking about their negative attributes. But they don't see it. So what's good from bad? What's positive from negative? Are you learning or are you being sucked dry of energy? You see, I ask people all the time, what plight, what problem, let me make it simple like, what problem do our women on a world scale now, on a community scale, what is the actual problem that our women have with our men outside of he won't do this, he won't do that, you know what I'm saying? Or he don't act right or he don't do this type of stuff. I'm talking about when it comes to how much dollars you get in your pocket, when and where you can go cast your vote, choosing what type of house you can live in, whether you have the ability to be out here in the commercial game. I'm talking about as far as making rules that govern your life. From a public perspective, what issue do our women have with our men? I don't see one. I'm just going to be honest. I don't see the issue outside of our men act stupid and we ignorant. We do ignorant stuff and we act stupid. You know what I mean? And a lot of us be clueless a lot of times. But the way that we're talked about in the public eye, you know what I mean? I'll never get, man, I ain't dealing with these niggas, these dudes ain't this, these dudes ain't that. And they talking about their own people. You understand? I never deal with another black man. I never deal with this, never deal with that. Why has that become why has that become such a massive thing that we have to broadcast outside of us in order to make it real? Because once you get into the private life of our communities, then you see that a lot of times that's not even the case. That's just this. That's wolf. You see, every nation on the globe tunes into our people. Every nation. We're the only ones that create the disturbance within ourselves. And I'm still looking for the plight. Where's the problem at? Where's the issue? Oh, he got me, but he'll have another woman over here. He'll have another woman over here. Do you understand the code of your genetics? You don't get it? You don't get it? You know what money and commercialism is making our women do? Stop having babies. It's making them stop having babies. Or they're cutting off at one or two. You see? Because I have ambitions that must be fulfilled. The gift given to our people said to be fruitful and multiply. No matter what we do, we can't stop doing that. We have to actively force ourselves to stop doing that. Stop taking action in that way. Positive versus negative. You see? Our world has been turned upside down, completely upside down. We take the current events that's around us and we focus on these things. Oh my God, they trying to put Trump in jail. Trump ain't going to jail. If Trump was going to jail, he would have been went to jail. He would have been went. This ain't nothing. Trump ain't going to no jail, man. He's not going to jail. That is a distraction. You got to understand. Positive versus negative. It looks negative because they don't want you to choose the positive outcome. They're making it look negative. Oh, Trump been banned from 5 states. This and the third XYZ. Why you keep got to broadcast that in my face? Because, oh yeah, we're making he's negative. So we got to take these actions. So ignorant folks going to think that they're making positive actions towards a negative individual. But if you know better, then you see the reverse. You see what's going on. You understand what's happening. You see, the God mind can come through you to be able to decipher what's really happening in front of your face. Feminism is a trap. It's a trick. Just like that LGBTQ junk. It's a trick. Black lives matter. All of a sudden, all lives matter. Now all of a sudden, the Black Lives Matter whole thing is about the LGBTQ agenda. Like what? We thought that was positive for us. We thought that was positive. That's the way we was looking at it when it first came out. We marching and everything. Like, come on. All over the place. We marching. Got all the other nations with us marching. Black Lives Matter. Whole time they had the agenda working right up underneath you. You didn't even know. You didn't even know. We didn't even know. What do you do with that? Just forget about it and move forward and act like it never happened? We didn't even know. What about Kamala Harris? Let's look at that. Positive versus negative. Chucks and pearls. That was the most positive thing. All our women, all up under that Chucks and pearl, because she came in after Michelle. You see what I'm saying? So the positive energy that Michelle was giving out to women was only to prime you for your destruction. You don't understand. It's not making sense until it makes sense. Because you see a melanated figure there. Now when she's gone and the next melanated figure there, you're going to continue with the same mammy syndrome. She's going to walk right into it. Chucks and pearls, right? But then in the same breath, she turned around and say that I'm not here to do things only for black people. This is what Kamala Harris said from her own mouth. I didn't make it up. I'm not here to do only for black people. Right? Well, who else could you be talking about? Because you supposedly come from our community, right? No. No. That which we thought was positive was absolutely negative, and it marked our destruction even further. And we don't understand. We don't get it. We don't get it, so these things pass us by. You know what I mean? The real positive energy keeps passing us by because we're not looking at the world in the proper context. Everything is out here to change your behavior away from who you are naturally. Don't you know the chaos of God is who we are on the inside? That is the ether. That is what it is when somebody bothering you and you start boiling from within. And I'm talking about melanated people. That is the chaos of the universe that they want to keep dormant inside of you, while calling it bad or negative. But that is your positive attribute. That is your highest formation. It doesn't mean that your heart must be contaminated with hate, because that's not who we are. It's only just to act the way we're supposed to be. Vengeful with a heart of gold. Go look up the definition of a philosopher king. Matter of fact, let me look it up for you so I can show you what it is. See, you got to understand the difference between bad and good, negative and positive. It is not what we think it is. It has multiple definitions. And once we attach to a certain definition, then the agenda begins to be spun. You have to understand, you're not dealing in a positive world. This world is built negative. It stands on negative realities. How many people lost their lives so that the white Chinese nation can take supreme over a melanated land of China? How many people? Is that positive or negative? You don't even hear about their problem. You don't even hear about their genocide. Is it positive or negative? What did they just try to pull in South Africa? When the white people tried to overthrow the whole government and try to push the black people out the way in South Africa. Is it positive or negative? We need to realize what's positive versus negative. What about coming into somebody else's landmass, training them away from who they are, making them feel like the world they live in is the only world that exists, while all these other groups and nations of people walk around them like they're supposed to be on their land? Is that positive or negative? Where the people that are foreign are spending the money of the people that they excluded from their own infrastructure. Positive or negative? A philosopher king is a hypothetical ruler in whom political skill is combined with philosophical knowledge. A philosopher king is the embodiment of the spirit and the mind, the politics and philosophy. Will slice your head off, cut your head off your body, and in the same token, give a just, sound, golden heart King Solomon. You see, philosopher king. Two women fighting over the baby. They brought the baby to Solomon. Solomon said what? The wise thing to do, or the mind, conferred with the heart, says that both of these women are passionate, or both of these women say this is their baby. They're both making claim. So the wise thing to do is to cut the baby in half and give each one of them a piece, right? This is why you need philosophy in your politic, because you'll get to the bottom of a situation with ease. See, this what we have right now. This is not philosophy. There is no philosophy in there, because if there was philosophy, Biden would not be the president, because then it would be understood that there is no president. You understand? That's a whole nother conversation. We're talking about negative versus positive. A positive thing is for a negative natured reality. You see how we get spun into agenda? Now, who is the reality negative for? Who is the primary group that the reality is negative for? Always. Let's go on TV, turn on music videos, okay? I want to watch what the black people are doing. Let's watch what the black folks are putting out. We're going to go turn on music, hip hop, whatever, and you know what it is, right? Even what we call R&B, which really ain't R&B, is really a higher function of pop. Even our pop music, you see how destructive it is, right? Okay, no problem. Well, I see I can't go there. Let's go into the black movies. Let me go see what type of energy is coming out of black movies. Now, mind you, now we ones that come from Brown Sugar, The Last Man, you know what I'm saying? Waiting to Exhale. This is the type of movies that we came from. Now, what do we have now? What type of movies do we have now? Full on, two black men having sex with each other. This is the type of stuff we're seeing now, because our community base has been made to be destructive against us. Is it positive or negative? Is that positive or negative? You see, are we allowing that the world say we have to be more accepting of certain people and certain energies and certain mindsets? Is that positive or is that negative? To go against it, to go with it. We have no idea. You know it's wrong in your heart, but go say something. And watch the type of reaction you get. Is that reaction positive? Are they upholding their right to exist? Or is it negative? Well, I got a question for you. If you all about upholding sexuality and making these things available to everybody, then where's the H? What about the heterosexuals? They're still a form of sexuality. Why are they excluded? It doesn't make sense. But see, now you take the philosophy and perspective and you can spin an agenda. Because the people don't know no better. We are confused. We don't understand what's positive versus what's negative. We don't get it. And as a result, these webs are being spun in our life and in our mind's eye to the point that we are lost and bound in the confusion. We're not even in one plane or the other. We're stuck in the gray area, confusion. And in confusion, you can be distracted with every little thing while these agendas are steady moving by, steady pulling you further and further and further away from your birthright because you refuse to wake up and see what's going on around you. Negative versus positive. Okay, let's take this for instance. Matter of fact, it's probably gonna be my last note. I'm gonna let's see. Okay, let's see. Listen to this. And I'm reading this from the David Jeremiah blog, okay? And the question is, who is Lucifer? We gotta understand, okay? Because we talking about positive versus negative, okay? Who is Lucifer? Positive versus negative. Now, when we hear that name, when we hear that word, it automatically brings your mind to a place of bad, not necessarily negative in frequency, but bad, okay? Now, I want you to understand what's going on here because you have to listen to this description. Let me read this for you. Lucifer was one of God's angels, a magnificent being. That don't sound like a negative description to me. A magnificent being. The prophet Ezekiel described him as the seal of perfection. Okay? Full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. All those things sound positive to me, right? Every precious stone was his covering. He was the anointed cherub who covers. He was perfect in his ways from the day he was created. Ezekiel 28:12-15. Lucifer was fully arrayed by the Creator to reflect his glory. I've heard nothing bad yet or negative. All these things are positive attributes. But is that the totality of who Lucifer was as a being? Obviously not. Okay? This dazzling angel walked in the Garden of Eden and had direct access to God. Direct access until one day when everything changed. Okay? Lucifer's splendor was his downfall. This is what they're saying. As magnificent as Lucifer was, his positive became his negative. Amazing. Listen. In Ezekiel 28, he became filled with violence within, and he sinned. His heart was lifted up because of his beauty. This is verses 16-17. Everything about Lucifer's appearance was a gift from God, yet the gift inspired his rebellion. Here's what happened in Lucifer's heart, according to Isaiah 14:12-14. How you are fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning. How you are cut down to the ground, you who weakened the nations. For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven, Babel. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will also sit on the mount of the congregation on the farthest sides of the north. I will ascend above the height of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Vanity. Rebellion. Being pretentious. What's the word? Give me a word here. You know what I'm saying? Just all of the things that was inside of this positive being, the positive aspects of the being became so positive that they actually initiated the downfall of said being. Now, I know the story go in more detail than that, you know what I'm saying? And we can take that same story and overlap it over many understandings in our world today. But the gist that I want to give you is that the being was so positive, was so illuminated, that the illuminations became the downfall. They became negative. So again, I ask you, what is negative versus positive? Those positive attributes that God gave Lucifer became his negative downfall. The same positive attributes became his negative downfall, all because of perspective. The way Lucifer looked at the positive attributes is what created the negative downfall. Perfect by design, perfect in creation, a perfect being. The only thing that could make this being be less than perfect is perspective. And from perspective, you get agenda. The way you're looking at the world signifies the agendas you're going to see in your day. Why do you think we have think tanks called school and college? It is only to collect information about the mindset, the current mindset of the future generation of people. Now you know what agendas to put in motion that will be allowed, that won't be allowed, the positive things that they'll take as negative, or the negative things that they'll take as positive. You know where to circumvent the energy, where to cut the frequency off at the pass. Confusion. This is the world we live in. This is what we're dealing with on a daily basis. Every single day, this is what we're dealing with. We don't know which way is down from up. We meet somebody, we have these feelings in the first few moments of meeting this person. Oh my God, that's so positive. But wait a minute now. They ain't brushed their teeth in 4 days. I overlook that because, you know what I'm saying, I'm just in love with the feeling. So it's just so positive. You feel me? So everything just so conversation so positive. But they done took off all week and ain't been to work. They ain't working towards nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying? But they such a cool person, man. Like, I love the conversation. When we hang out, it's always a good time to vibe. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, like, so I'm going to overlook that too. Is the situation positive? And then come to find out a year, 2 years later, now look, I can't stand that mom. They get on my nerve. I hate you. All those type of stuff. Why? Because you overlooked the real positivity in the situation. The negative attributes is the positivity. That is the only thing that's going to get. Listen, you don't grow unless you go through no pain, no gain. We call pain negative. But if you go to the gym, if you're not creating pain or tearing the muscles, they don't grow. You understand? As a child, if you're not eating your vegetables, if you're not eating the right food, you won't grow. You'll stunt your growth. But to grow is painful. See? So the negative attributes are actually bringing a positive result. How many times have we gone through life and overlooked all the negative? I know I've done it. Overlooked all the negative in a person, just only looking for what's positive in them. And as a result, we get this being that we didn't even know existed because that's not how we was looking at them from the first beginning. We were so wrapped up in positive that we could not see that the universe was trying to show us everything that we didn't need. I'm so guilty of that. I'm so guilty of that. And I'm pretty sure there's multiple people out there that's guilty of the same thing. I've made those same mistakes. You know what I'm saying? So the reality is that our perspective has been attacked. Our perspective has been skewered. So we don't understand what's good for us versus what's bad for us. So when we hear what's good for us, it sounds like something that's bad for us. And when we hear what's bad for us, it sounds like something that's good for us because we don't understand the aspects of positive versus negative. We don't know. We're confused. And confusion does not breed anything positive from it. You see? Because the confused look for help. And the people that are there to help, are they positive or are they negative? So anyway, look, you already know how I get down. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it is what it is. But this has been a very interesting conversation. You know what I'm saying? Very, very interesting conversation. So in the coming weeks, you know what I'm saying, just giving a little announcement or whatever, but in the coming weeks, I'm actually going to be being joined in the studio with a panel of, you know, locals, people you may know, some people you may not know. But we just want to get a vibe created up in here to talk about some of these topics and actually have open discussion. So that way we can get more of a across the board understanding of perspective. Am I still going to be leading the group? Yes, I'm going to be leading the group. You know what I'm saying? And it's still going to be edifying because a lot of times there are certain topics that get missed and skipped over because they're not brought to the forefront. You know what I'm saying? And we need panels. The panels are actually a very important thing, especially for our people. We need those panels so that we can begin to cover all of our topics across the board and we can bring them out one by one and begin to heal. We need the ability to heal. Just to heal. In our healing ourselves, you're going to notice that it's going to begin to turn on a lot of negative attributes. How many of y'all think y'all woke out there? Like, you go out there and you think people think they woke. You see what I'm saying? Like my girl Gina May say, she say, people want things to flaunt. But this is not that at all when it comes to this spirituality. Spirituality finna take you down through there so you can grow. It's going to take you down through there where you're going to be like, God, why me? Why am I going through all these negative situations? And why am I going through all this and nothing coming together and it's just so bad? But no, you have to be broken down in order to be built up. Is it negative or is it positive? You see what I'm saying? We're confused. And until we correct the confusion that is seated in there, the confusion, until that confusion has been corrected and eliminated, then we won't be able to get a proper grasp on where we are in this world space right now. You see? You have groups and nations that run around this thing, but they don't run nothing. They don't run nothing. They just running around. They always first, always beat you to the paper. I'm gonna mail it to you first, hot potato, see what you do with it. But our people don't understand contractual law, so they don't know to send it right back. They don't know because it's hot potato, so I'm gonna beat you to it first. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna charge you with a charge first, and I'm gonna do this before you realize that you can sue me for my actions because my actions are really not positive. They're really not helping you. They're really destroying you. So they're really a negative action, me handing you this contract. You know what I'm saying? But because you don't know that, you think it's a positive thing because I just gave you $500, but on the back end, I just tacked on another $1,500. You got to pay me back. But it's positive. I just got $500. No, you didn't get $500. You didn't get $500, bro. You didn't get $500. You really got $2,000. You really got put in debt for $2,000. You really didn't get $500. You really just got put in debt for $2,000. You understand? Is it positive or is it negative? You have to pay attention to what's going on around you in this world because this world has been set forth to swallow things alive. It's been happening already. Look how many sinkholes we got. Why do you think these sinkholes happening? Why do you think it's locusts coming out of the sky like the plagues of Egypt? What about the frogs that was over there in Italy, if I'm not mistaken? Italy got overran with frogs that came out of the water. They just died right there on the thing. Look at the cows and stuff that's dying over there in Europe. Why do you think all this stuff is happening? The things they're not talking about. Why do you think all these things are happening? Is it positive or negative? It depends on the perspective of the people beholding it. So what am I? Positive or am I negative? A lot of people say I'm negative. That's the outlook that people give me. They say I'm negative. But if you really know me, then you know me. You know what I'm saying? And my people that know me, they already know. They don't even need to be explained. So people can think what they want to think. But for some reason, there are people that actually get positivity out of what we sit here and discuss. Even though so many call me negative. Amazing. So before I go, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm through ranting. I'm gonna come on off of that, man. You know what I'm saying? But before I go, what I want to do is begin to implement a little bit of my vocal frequency. You know what I'm saying? Out into the world. I want you guys to begin to start hearing the music right here on the podcast. You know what I'm saying? So that way the music can take a greater mark. So when you come back and these videos and things start dropping and we start doing these type of interviews and doing these type of performances, you'll understand more. So without further ado, I'm going to play my song, Luke 1817, and the song is titled, Am I Wrong?
Am I wrong for trying to figure out where I belong? Am I really wrong? Am I really wrong? Yeah. Am I wrong for trying to figure out where I belong? I guess I'll put my feelings in a song. Yeah. Somebody told me, just be patient. Time is patience. Then they told me you can't make it. Realize that the truth is latent, baby. Am I wrong for trying to figure out where I belong? Am I really wrong? Am I really wrong? Yeah. Am I wrong for trying to figure out where I belong? I guess I'll put my feelings in a song. Yeah, yeah. Aborigines been displaced here, falling down from grace to embrace fear, moving like we don't deserve the birthright of blood. But am I wrong for trying to figure out where I belong? Am I really wrong? Am I really wrong? Yeah, yeah. Am I wrong for trying to figure out where I belong? I guess I'll put my feelings in a song. Yeah, yeah. Where is the love? Where is the love to replace the pain? Giving me drugs for my brain, calling Novocaine. Acting that when I speak out, I'm insane. But is this all a game? Am I for real insane? When will the decent change? When will the hatred upgrade? But am I wrong for trying to figure out where I belong? Am I really wrong? Am I really wrong? Yeah, yeah. But am I wrong for trying to figure out where I belong? I guess I'll put my feelings in a song. Yeah. But am I wrong for trying to figure out where I belong? Am I really wrong? Am I really wrong? Yeah, yeah.
All right, y'all, man. It's been real. This your boy Luke 1817, man. Y'all follow me. WPMM is a radio station, you know what I'm saying? So y'all like, share, subscribe if you're out there on YouTube. Follow us all over the place. Type in WPMM on Google and it should pull up everything, as well as type in Luke 1817 on Google and I should be there. So I hope y'all got something good out of it. This is positive versus negative. I know sometimes that it could be kind of hard to follow, but go back and listen again. And if you still misunderstanding a little bit or something that you have questions on, then don't be afraid to, type your question in the comment section and we'll get to you, you know what I'm saying? If not, provide you an answer, then shoot, we may even bring you on here so you can answer your question live. So that way we can talk and discuss about things, because that's what it's going to take. Like, it got to have an interaction from everybody. Like, it's a community effort. It's not about me just telling y'all, you know what I'm saying? It ain't about that. It's about the community. So if you ask me, I'm going to give you the things I study, the things I look into, you know what I'm saying? But it is also good to bring it back down to the ground and stay grounded, you know what I'm saying? So in order to do that, stay grounded, it requires the efforts of the community. So y'all don't be afraid to write your questions, leave your comments. And when this panel get up here, we're going to have the phone lines open, you know what I'm saying? So people can call in and ask their questions or whatever. And, just do it fully interactive. So that way we can begin to gauge how this podcast or how this showcase is helping the community and helping people on the outside of us. All right. So until next time, I'm your man, Luke, man. Y'all be good out there. Stay safe. And do not stop growing no matter what. Keep growing. Get a good book. Read you a page a day. Just keep growing. All right. And teach your children cursive because they're going to need that. Peace.